Kitten Features, and you're listening to Show X Live with Ken in his student accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wade in his white windowless van? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Show X on VTWProductions.com. You're listening at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT on this Sunday, the 30th of September, 2018. And we are joined today by our good friend Ken. How are you doing today, sir?
Hello. I'm in a pretty good mood, actually. I'm pretty good. Thanks for asking. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing all right, and I apologize to everyone who was listening to the pre-show today as things were going a little funky, but hopefully they are happier now. I restarted the rig. It's been a little while, admittedly, since I've had it going, and so hopefully that will clean up the roboting that kept seeming to want to happen. So we shall see, and hopefully this makes a difference. So, all right, we're going to kick things off right away, though, and let's see if this is all set up right again now. Oh, I know I need a clip. More button so that we can hear what's happening.
Also, I can't see you anymore. I don't know what happened.
Okay, just a second, I will get to that. But first, let's get into a little bit of Navy.
Dysfunctional deviations.
There we go. It was just having to think a little bit. Let's see, you can't see me, so let me go. Ding. Now you should be able to see me, sir.
Yeah, I can. That's good. Okay. Hello. So yeah, dysfunctional deviations and stuff. First of all, anybody wants to email on the show, please do so. showx@vtwproductions.com. You can also tweet us, go on our subreddit, check our Facebook page. We've got the VTW gaming group. Been a lot of stuff going there. We should probably talk about actually. Not only is the WoW group getting together more and more frequently, so jump on and join us. We've been having a nice 4-man groups for dungeons. We have space for one more, and we jump on randomly. We just go on random times, and quite frequently all 4 of us are online, and we just play together. So jump on and join. It's Mingard US Horde side. Sorry, Alliance side even. I used to say Horde from back in the day, because I used to be a Horde too.
Yeah, now we're all these prissy, silly Alliance characters.
Yeah, but then again, who wants to be Horde right now when they're all evil now?
Me.
It used to be morally great.
Me. I'm okay with it.
So yeah, check us out there. We will come join the community. It's good fun. And check the Show X page and also the Versus the World gaming pages on Facebook. There, that's worth checking out because there's loads of stuff going on there. People posting there every day. I got made an admin, and I kind of regret it because I get like 17 notifications a day of people talking and liking stuff, and it's very active. It's a good thing. It's the kind of thing that's like annoying to have the notifications, but at the same time, I'm glad the notifications are there because it means that people are being active, and that's great. So it's ups and downs. So check out those places. All right. So dysfunctional deviations, where we talk about our weekend stuff and what we've been up to. So I'm counting down the days because in 5 days' time, on Friday, I'm supposed to find out if I passed the job interview successfully and if I've got a job or not. And it's a job that I would quite like, so it'd be really good to get. So I had my interview on Tuesday, and I think it went really well. There was a couple of. It was way more technical than I expected, actually, because I was expecting somebody from maybe HR, human resources, or something to sit on the panel, and expect about a third or fourth or something of my questions to be HR-y. Like, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Can you tell us a time when you were not the leader of a group and you had to show leadership qualities to get the group and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And I love those kind of questions because I'm really good at talking. Well, bullshit. Well, no, not really bullshit, right? But I'm really good at answering these kind of questions, and I'm pretty fast on my feet when thinking about these kind of soft skill based questions, right? Like leadership or group activities when you're supposed to not show leadership. showing that you have ambition while not being arrogant, that kind of thing. I'm pretty good at doing all that kind of stuff. So I was sad that there wasn't an HR person there. Instead, it was a board of very technical and people who were very specialist and big in the field, right? These guys are all knew their stuff.
Yeah.
And they were asking me a lot of questions about my research, but thankfully it was my research they were asking questions about. So, that's not really a problem answering that, because I know it's my research, right? I did it, so I can answer fully. I am the world expert on those like 2 papers. So that's that. So that's easy. The problem was when they started asking questions about stuff that they'd like me to do. And I was fine for maybe 95% of the questions. But there was a couple where I was thrown off just from the way they were phrased, or there was one question, for example, that I suppose was a fail in some ways, but I think I answered the best I could. They asked me if I do or have any experience with a specific technical thing, and I said, no, I have none. I have absolutely no experience with that. And if it's a requirement, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to sit here and lie and pretend that I know it. I do not know that yet. However, I can see why that'd be very important for my career, and so I would love to learn it, and I'd love to put time into it. And that's how you answer a question like that, right? You don't lie to them, because then if they ask you another question, you're just screwed. Like, can you give us an example of where this would be used? And you're like, nope. I'm Googling right now. You don't want to do that. It's better to tell the truth. And overall the interview went really well. I wore a suit because it was a Skype interview by video. So I wore a suit, and I spent like an hour the night before ironing everything, and I shined my shoes, and I did my hair so it was all nice and everything. Trimmed my beard, everything, right, the whole shebang. And I get onto Skype. I start the call. And my new laptop blue screens of death.
Oh!
Yeah, right? I mean, it's been perfectly fine for forever. Ever since I got the laptop, it's been absolutely fine. But the reason for it, I think, is that I didn't install the Windows 10 Store version of Skype. I used the Skype standalone that isn't like the full screen, touchscreen, crappy version that And I think that they refuse to update that as much as the real one.
I do believe. I think that Microsoft has had some decisions on what they've been doing with Skype. One of the reasons we also went to Discord, because I was having troubles between like the standalone, which is what I preferred, and the app version in the Windows Store in the same way, and that's why we don't use it on the show now, because it was causing issues. Always trying to be updated and things. So, ugh.
Yeah, and that's why Discord's much better, but I couldn't exactly ask them to download Discord when they're doing all their interviews on Skype with other people, right? So I gritted my teeth and bared it.
When you say it just like in this little nuanced way of like, all the cool kids, they're over on that Discord. You don't even have to download anything. You can just get in it like directly in your browser.
Yeah. I tried to Skype on my phone. That was being really laggy. So the third time lucky, I just called them and it worked fine. It was beautiful quality and stuff. Next, they said, all right, we were going to see I had to do a presentation as well. And they were like, we need to see your PowerPoint slides. So how are we going to do it via phone? So I tried to email it to them after 3 or 4 minutes of awkward chat. Well, it wasn't really that awkward. I managed to fill it in quite well, but it would have been awkward. They still hadn't received the email. And so I sent it to the guy's personal email as well. Still didn't receive it in the next 2 minutes. So I very quickly went onto my FTP server, uploaded the document onto my website, named it something easy to download. And if anybody's interested, it's kenread.co.uk/download.pdf. I said there it is, just type that in, you should get it, and it worked fine. And I think, and even though it's a really minor thing, hopefully that impressed them that quick problem solving, on your feet thinking when there's an issue and they need to solve quickly, right? It was a nice demo of doing very simple technical skill, but using resources available to me to solve a quick problem. And I was kind of glad that happened, actually, because it's set up kind of nicely. Like, oh, there's a problem with emails? Don't worry, I've got alternatives that we can sort out, and I'll fix it. Don't worry, that's nice. So I had the interview. That was pretty stressful. I was pretty. Normally I don't get like shaken by these kind of things, but because I kind of want this job, I was actually pretty stressed for it. So even the day after, I was still like, oof, that was a lot. That was stressful. So thankfully I'm at a stage now where I'm quite relaxed. I thought I was against 30 other applicants, and it turns out it was exactly that. It was me versus 30 other applicants. But it turns out there's only 5 other people who were at the interview stage. So I was already in the creme de la creme of applicants, which is nice to know. It means that they really must have enjoyed or thought I was really appropriate for the job, pending interview. So
Nice.
as long as nobody else turns out to be absolutely, well, that's the thing, right? If there's somebody who asks for less pay and has more experience, there's nothing I can do about that. That's out of my hands. But I think I've done the best I can at this stage, at both the interview and the application stage. So if I don't get it, I'm not going to be. I'll be a little disappointed, but I won't be. I won't be depressed over it. I don't feel like I've screwed it up. I think I've done it as much as I can do. So that's what's going on with that side of things. My teaching started this week as well. I've been teaching. I had 4 1-hour classes, which isn't so bad. But next week I have 3 2-hour classes on top of those. So my workload's been picking up. I was at uni all day today as well, and so it's been a little bit stressful. Also, there's like it feels like everything in the house just started breaking as well. So I've got stuff to get around the house and fix everything. My to-do list that's sitting in front of me on the whiteboard has expanded so much recently. On Friday, thankfully, one of the things that's been crossed off here actually was I had my charity morning on Friday. It was the Macmillan Coffee Morning. I was explaining last week this national event where people around the UK host these coffee mornings. People come along and they do like little competitions like bake-offs or pin the cherry on the watermelon, I think is one of them, and like a raffle and stuff. Whatever you want to do, as long as you raise money for charity out of the event. And I managed to raise £200, which was pretty nice from my department. So we had a bake-off. We had 5 people take part. And yeah, it went quite well. And I'm just glad it's over and done with, because it's been so many things on my mind, and it's just one more thing off my mind, which is good. My energy company sent me a bill for £1,700.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they did the exact same thing last year, and it seems to. I think it's like a fault in their system. Basically, they have it marked down somewhere that I have 2 ways of recording my energy consumption in the house, and because I only submit meter readings for one way, the second one they just make an assumption for once a year of, oh, you've probably spent this much energy, and that's how much they think it is for a year. And I'm like, nope, I paid for it already. Check the other one. And every single time they're like, no, you've got a thing in your house for this. I'm like, no, I don't. And this goes back and forth for like 2 hours. It ends with them agreeing with me or sending somebody out to check and being like, oh yeah, you're right, there is nothing here, which happened last year. And I'm pretty sure it's going to happen this year again. So that's another stressful thing, though. This bill that they're trying to get me to pay looming over my head for thousands of pounds. I'm like, I know I don't owe them. It's just so dumb. I've still sorted the bloody insurance for that guy hitting my car the other week. I've still got to prepare so much stuff for teaching, etc. It's just life's hectic right now. Life is very hectic.
It sounds like you've got a lot going on.
Yeah, I do. And P.S. You're roboting for me again. So that's pretty much everything's going on. It's pretty dull. It's not anything particularly interesting going on, which is, I guess, good. Excitement can both be fun and it can be terrifying, right? You don't want that second type of exciting. I think it's better not to have that at times. So yeah, that's everything that's been on in my life that's worth mentioning. That's not geeky. What about yourself, sir?
Well, let's see. What have I been up to? As I try to make sure that the sounds continue to work for us. That seems to be an issue here. I'm really hoping this fixes. Is it still roboting for you, Ken?
Yeah, super like robot for me. Yeah.
I hear you fine.
Well, as long as everybody else hears it, it's fine.
Well, and I restarted the audio engine. Well, no, because
let's fix it again.
Yeah, so that's the challenge. Is I don't think it's otherwise. In fact, what I think I may need to do, it might be how let's see. This might be contributing to it, is how my background audio for the computer is coming through. So let me move that so that it's not trying to interfere with the USB rig and how I'm getting audio. Maybe that'll help a little bit, keep things from being mixed up. We shall see. But yeah, definitely let me know if it changes, because I think that's been affecting everyone else as well. All right, so what have I been doing that has been geek this week? Unfortunately, I haven't, I was trying to sort through my thoughts on it and looking around like, what did I do this week? Another one of those where I think I've been busy all week and somehow lose track of kind of everything I was doing. And I start to try to remember, like, all right, let's look back through the calendar. What did I do when? But just in the last week, and so it's basically since the last show, the main thing I had, and this is where it gets interesting, is the day after the show, I went to another concert. And let's see.
You're crazy. And your eardrums are protesting, I imagine.
No, never that bad. But this one was one that Lieutenant Fork had set up for us some time back. It was actually right around the same time that I had gotten tickets for the Beck concert. For the Nine Inch Nails concert. She got tickets for Beck coming through. Someone else that we had always just said we kind of wanted to see, and we thought would be fun. And so, but as the date rolled around, unfortunately, Fork was feeling, I think, still knackered from the previous week of going to concert and being busy, and really didn't want to go. So I had to, last minute reach out and find someone else to come with. But did manage to go and check out Beck, and I had to say it was a really, really good show. Beck, how do I want to say? I was talking to some other friends about this, kind of after the Nine Inch Nails concert, how maybe it's an ego thing or something about, I don't know, just wanting artists to play to their audience a little bit. But I don't know how many concerts you've been to, Ken. Have you ever had where, when you... A good few. Okay, so when you go to a concert, do you often have where the artist will, make mention of the location they're playing and kind of something about it? Just to
of course, yeah.
Just to let you kind of know that, oh yeah, they know where they're at and what's kind of neat about this place. It makes you feel a little more connected to them, I'd suppose. But in Nine Inch Nails, when Trent was here, they didn't really say anything about being in Colorado or Red Rocks. And to me, that's a bit surprising because Red Rocks is such an amazing venue. And I mean, I've heard it from many, many artists, and I don't think they're just placating us, saying just how neat it is to be at Red Rocks. And so when Trent came through and didn't say anything, I was a little put off, or just kind of like, really? Maybe you're just touring so hard you don't really care where you're at and you're touring? I don't know. It felt a little odd. And so when Beck came through, basically did the opposite and performed much more how I'd expect, came through and was really making a point of saying, hey, Red Rocks, awesome to be back in Denver, this and that, and not only kind of just letting us know he knew where he was, but also talking through playing the songs he chose and the set list. He specifically said, I wanted to pick a lot of songs that I didn't play last year when we were here. And so to try to switch things up, because I know a lot of you guys like to keep coming to see me. And so that was pretty cool. And beyond that, he really set up a nice stage presence and kind of put things all around where his stage was lit up with basically full video screen behind, as well as kind of in front of some of the band members, or the kind of the second stage or height where the drummer and keyboardist were. And so it was neat because he was able to really play to us and made it seem like he knew where he was at, what he was doing, and was having a good time. So that was really cool. It was also nice because the group that played before him, I think, felt really like they fit his music. And so it was a very similar kind of experience where, again, with Nine Inch Nails, and I know I'm splitting hairs in a lot of ways with kind of how I'm comparing two different concerts, but it was one where he his choice of the whole setup and everything they were doing just seemed a lot more coordinated. And so for me, it was just a much better concert experience as a whole, and I was kind of surprised with how many of his songs I knew and things like that as well. So it was a good time. I really enjoyed going to the Beck concert. So that was fun. Then, what else have I done? I'm trying to also figure out for after the show, as we get into WoW time, since I think people are going to be playing that again, how to navigate myself to a place where we can all, I think we were talking about doing Brewfest today. And trying to do some Brewfest things. So trying to figure out where to get my avatar so I can participate with others. I think Copy is trying to lead me somewhere better. But we shall see. Yeah, as I'm multitasking that. Because my challenge playing on the Alliance side is I don't know where anything is. I like know where everything is based on the. Oh look, Portal to Stormwind. Hi. Look at that.
Hey, you can go to Stormwind, you turn on War Mode and get your 10% extra XP, etc. now.
So during the show as well, for anyone who wanted to play along, I think we were going to dance party it up somewhere. And so now I am portaled over to Stormwind, but I don't know exactly where to hang out here now. And so I'll have to figure it out. Okay, there's copy. I was going to say, figure it out somewhere to see how to get to where I'm going.
Stormwind has changed a little bit over the years, so it's worth exploring.
To note, I was never in Stormwind. Well, not really. I snuck through it once as my Horde rogue, and when I was there, it was really just to kind of get... My whole goal, and I succeeded, was to take the tram over to Ironforge from Stormwind, and so I snuck all the way into and then down to the tram and across and then out Ironforge. And so, but I didn't really go exploring because there's lots of, big, what are they, an enforcer, the guards around town that were all Death Skull to me, essentially. When I was wandering, so I was like, nope, not doing that. And then when I was in Ironforge, all the level 60s running around at the time that could have just one-shotted me. And so I had to stick to corners. And it was probably one of the most unnerving things I'd ever run into because I could hear myself uncloaking to them. That's the sound you hear when you know that they can see you. And so I did that and was kind of like, oh, hey. So, yeah, that was fun. But anyhow, so I have not explored, and so I actually am kind of looking forward to this time around seeing all the sites and doing the things as an Alliance player and not feel too dirty about it. So, we'll see. But anyhow, as I was saying, so the Beck concert was really a good time. I enjoyed it. And I'd recommend anyone who likes his kind of music to go check it out. It was a really good show. Beyond that, what else have I been doing that hasn't been truly geek this week? All right, let me see. I have to refocus my notes here. One of the other things I wanted to bring up in general was that...
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm actually struggling to understand you now because of the robot. It's getting very bad.
Grr. I need to find a way to...
Way of getting it to,
I hit the button.
5 minutes reset itself or something.
So it's interesting because it has an option on here called auto restart the audio engine. And I don't know what does it so that it knows to auto restart. So I turned that off and we'll see, because so far I've been having to do it manually, but it seems like every time I do it manually it fixes and it's much happier. So I need to keep doing that, and I guess the auto one just isn't working correctly. Weird. I may need to explore this software further, since we're using Voice Meter Banana right now to do my back and forth between like how I'm mixing all the audio together so we can get us all to be heard together. Maybe I'll have to figure out otherwise. Yeah. We'll see. I don't know. Oh, that's funny. I think Copy is specifically taking me down to the train.
Oh, good. Okay.
Excuse me. Yikes. Sorry about that.
Jeez.
As I'm afraid I'm going to try to get on the tram in time and it's going to leave without me. But anyhow, so the other challenge I've been having this week is actually on the way to the concert. I went to meet up with my friend who was going with me, and so we kind of met in one place to carpool because it sucks to have to drive separate vehicles all the way up to Red Rocks to try to park there.
Right, yeah.
Oh gosh, it's so dumb. And so we met, grabbed something to eat, and we're going to just take my car from there. Unfortunately, when I went to park, and I wasn't sure what was going on, I went, and then I essentially... What did I do? I went to get out of the car to grab something to eat, and as I was stopping it, the car started rolling. I was like, what? I had stuck it in park. I don't understand. I have an automatic. And at first it kind of messed with me because I thought I saw other cars moving. Like everyone suddenly started moving, kind of get that freakish moment where it's like, what's happening? So I hit the brakes and it stopped. I was like, okay, wait, but I'm in park. I don't understand. And so as I started messing around, I realized that even though I'd moved the shifter all the way into park, I wasn't actually in park. And the indicator on my dash showed me being, I want to say, still in neutral at the time. Which is really odd because that's like 2 gears off. And so I then went and basically turned the car back on and tried shifting it back and forth, and it would not go into park no matter what I did. And so as I played with it, I was just like, I don't know what to do. And I could kind of get down to gear, so I said, okay, screw this. I'm not going to mess with it now. Let's go to the concert. So ended up taking my friend's car. And while there, started talking to some people online, my local car friends, and they helped me out. El Campo actually is the one that came up with the best initial thing where he said, oh, here, I was reading up on some stuff. Try this. And in doing so, came up with an option of me that it was likely, or not necessarily how to get doing, because the thing that was also becoming a problem is when it got shifted in gear, got stuck, eventually got to a point where it wasn't in park or neutral. I couldn't do anything with it. It was in gear, but my shifter was all the way up. And so it was basically, you know how new cars have the little like button or something you have to hit because it locks them into park?
Sure.
So mine was stuck there, and I couldn't move the shifter anymore. Yet it wasn't in park; it was in gear, and so it was just a mess essentially. And so went to the concert, came back, and then they had shown me that on my car there's a little tab you could like manually articulate that would undo that shift lock, and then I could move it again. So after everything, I still wasn't sure quite what to do. I pulled it off and was able to get it in gear or get it started, then get it in gear and get home. But then once I parked it, it actually got worse in the sense that then it got stuck in gear and the shifter wouldn't do anything. It would move it all the way, but it wouldn't change gears at all. And so I was stuck in basically drive. And so I have not been driving my Escape since then. I am basically screwed when it comes to that. And so thank goodness I have a secondary car.
Sucks. Having car problems is the worst.
Well, and thankfully I've got another car, and so I've got my Miata, the little Miata I've had, that I've been able to continue.
Sure, but it's still a pain in the ass having problems with your car, because it's another thing on the to-do list, right? It's not fun spending your spare time, especially when it's something that was already working, like you have to fix, because it feels like you're just trying to scrape back to where you were.
Yeah, no, like I said, it's one of those things that just annoyance and then some. But, so the nice thing is, like I said, I've got my other vehicle to deal with. And so I at least can get around, go to work, do all those things. And it looks like we are hanging out just under Iron Forge at the Camp for Brewfest. And so that's where we'll be to start the events after the show. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to dance out in front of things as I continue to do the show. So that's where my avatar will be if you want to find me. If you're looking for me, I am Midna Twilly on the Alliance Moonguard US.
And how do you spell that?
Midna, M-I-D-N-A, Twilly, T-W-I-L-I. And that, for those who hopefully get the reference, it is completely Zelda-based because it's Twilly is the race or type of creature that Midna is. And so that's why I put those together, since otherwise I was pretty sure that Midna was taken. But yes.
Cool.
All right.
By the way, IRC chat, Hando first of all says 1990 Honda Accord for the win. Roxy says, it's a Ford. That's your first problem. Hando says DIY cars for the people. And Diet Olive says, why is there a decapitated woman behind you?
Everyone who sees the dress form behind me in the basement here that I put my costumes on. I don't have any in progress right now, so it's just the dress form. I should move it away so I can...
Can I ask why does it have breasts?
I've answered this before. The challenge with dress forms and finding things to work towards is that finding an actual male form, one that has the proportions of a traditional gentleman, essentially, is very difficult, actually. It's something that primarily they make, I guess they assume that most people are going to be making clothing, do it for women. And so...
Makes sense.
That's where...
Sexism strikes again.
Ha! Anyhow, so you can find male forms that are adjustable like this one. It is adjustable, which has allowed me to work with several people on it. But instead, what I ended up doing was using a bunch of... I forget what the tape's called that allows you to soak it with water and it can form, and then when it dries it becomes solid. But I actually made a body form of myself, covered myself with a plastic bag, and had friends wrap me tightly in paper, and doing that was able to make a form that actually matches my body. Unfortunately, I can't fit it on there, and I actually do want to eventually make a form that goes down for my legs and arms as well, so I have a whole body cast, and that way I'd be able to assemble costumes completely on it without having to do it like I first did, which is draping fabric over myself and like trying to tie it around me to figure out where to cut things. Because that was fun. But yeah, so it actually worked really well. But that's why there's a decapitated female body form behind me. So that's what's going on there.
You just need to learn how to astral project, man. That's obviously the solution here.
Obviously, yes. That is where I am failing at the moment. But no, so anyhow, my car is being a butt. I think I know what's wrong with it. I believe, even though I finally checked inside the top portion of it, that the cable that connects between the shifter and the actual transmission that tells it which gear to go in, I think that cable has not necessarily broken, but that the connecting pieces that have a little grommet essentially on the end of it, I think that the plastic piece might have disintegrated or fallen off or something like that, and I've looked it up and it's like a $20 fix. But the problem, and where I haven't got it fixed yet, is that I have yet to find anything that tells me how to find that connection down on the transmission, because on my car, everything underneath is paneled in and covered with skid plates and such, so I can't actually see the transmission, and from the hood, equally can't, because it's just stuff in the way. The engine is set up in such a way that they really don't want you to work on it yourself. And so instead of trying to...
Very Apple for it, isn't it?
What's that? Oh, very Apple?
That's very Apple, yeah.
Yeah, I could see it that way. And so, but that's part of my challenge, is I haven't been able to work on it yet. I haven't ordered the part yet because I want to confirm it's that and not something else along the line. I'm pretty sure. I'm usually pretty accurate, but I still want to see. And so with that, I need to... And I was tempted today to do a little wrenching, and I think the best way to go into it is to pull off my passenger side front tire and then the side lining of the car there underneath the plastic bits. I think we'll expose that part of the transmission, but I'm not entirely sure, and that's what I was looking for, videos or a book or something showing me how to do it, and I haven't found anything that really has given me any insight. That's probably the most frustrating part about it, is normally it's really easy to find these things, but apparently with the 2013 Escape, that hasn't been done yet. Or, people have shown the fixing of the specific part, but not getting in there. So anyway, so hopefully I'll be able to get that diagnosed and fixed this week, especially as the weather is starting to turn much more fall-like here, and before it turns winter, because I'd like to have the Escape running again.
Can I just say how beautiful this time of the year is? I keep forgetting how much I love it, but right now, like, Stirling, Scotland is just absolutely beautiful. Like, I can't drive anywhere without, like, stopping occasionally just to look at the most boring, mundane things like a park or a row of trees down a street, because it's just gorgeous. The way the sun is, like, filtering over these colors as well, it's just magnificent. I don't love my country as much as during the autumn any other time.
Nice. It is definitely something where, like, around here in Colorado, it's also quite pretty, except I haven't got up to the mountains to really see it. Because they have, all the trees are turning, and we've got the aspens everywhere that are, like, famous for it. And so I would actually like to get out there and maybe take some photos. I haven't done anything with it yet this year, which makes me feel a little bad.
I haven't done any photography in a long while now. It's because I got really disheartened after I went down south and took these what looked like great photos of fireworks and Ferris wheels and stuff on my 60D. But then I put them on the computer and everything looked bitty. Like, it was weird. It just looked horrible. I don't know why. It was specifically all the long exposure stuff just looked really bad, and it really disheartened me because I thought they were great photos. And after doing photography for so many years and still having times where I upload photos and I'm not happy with any of them, it's quite disheartening.
That is a thing I've run into a lot over the years. It's weird because I will go back to the beginning of when I did photography on my old camera, my 20D. That was only an 8 megapixel camera, by the way. Wow. And I will see photos on it that the photos themselves I'll see and be like, wow, those are actually pretty good in many cases, but I'll look at the editing and go like, oi, what was I doing back then? As I've gotten better skills at editing. And so that's one thing I've done or noted. And then other times I'll look back and I'll see some photos I've taken back today and think, wow, those were actually quite good. And I'll look at something I did recently and I'm kind of like, why? I swear this isn't as nice as I remember. And, and I keep wondering if it isn't something about my body is maybe slightly off for focusing, or there's just somehow more noise on the sensor. I don't know. Or I'm just so used to seeing the images from it, and I'm so used to like getting up close and editing them, that I start seeing all the noise, and therefore I don't think my images are as clean as I think they should be. But I'm not sure if that's just like, if I'm somehow, misreading what's going on. Because I'm still told by a lot of people that they love my photos, and I don't know. So that's been an interesting confuser for me.
I see what. Yep.
Well, I've wanted to actually get hold of some of the like testing things you can do to full on do a like legitimate test of my camera to see if it is working as I expect it to. So that's just been an odd one. I don't know. So many things. But anyhow, so hopefully I'll get the car fixed and all that. The other thing I did, and this is kind of on the flip side of where you're talking about the photography, Ken, for this time of year. Yesterday I went out to I had two things actually. First part, went downtown for Oktoberfest, because around the world everybody likes to drink. But this one wasn't just to go to Oktoberfest. It was actually a friend of ours. Is getting married, and so he had his bachelor party. And in the bachelor party, decided to take it downtown to, where the city celebrates and shuts down like 3 or 4 city blocks to have a bunch of different breweries come out. And we went in and got our drink on. Good time. It was middle of the day. Another one of those days to be out and, celebrate. And we did the proper thing of getting him properly knackered with it. There was a sheet of paper that one of the gentlemen in the group decided to put together a list of things he needed to accomplish to successfully have completed his bachelor party trip. And doing so, there were things like take inappropriate picture with a statue. To consume, what was it? How do we do? To either have purchased for you or to purchase for others, Jaeger bombs. And getting points for each person that was part of the group drink. To, what was it, finish off an entire stein of beer was like a point or so. Regardless of how that all ended up, it ended up being he was supposed to earn about 100 points and had available to him approximately 400 on the sheet that he could have done. I would like to get a final tally of how many he did. I know he did choose some things specifically for getting points on it, which was nice. Including some things like saying Prost to whenever in one of the bars or pubs to, toast everyone. And to one of the things was to ask a police officer for beer money.
Okay, that could be dangerous in the U.S.
Well, so it was really entertaining, because down there they had a lot of police officers who were working the event, which is a big part of it and totally fine. And while it was still very early, essentially, he did go up to a police officer who's actually quite nice, and we all talked to him for a little while and asked him. He was like, nope, can't do it, but at least ask, so he got points for that. I think if he'd actually gotten beer money from it was additional points, but it was not successful. And so that was really fun. The challenge with it is there was enough drinks to be had that by the time we transitioned in the afternoon to come back to this side of town to go to a German restaurant to finish things out with a little more Oktoberfest, but some good food with it, I was feeling the effects. Yeah, to the point where it was earlier point after one of the big steins, I was like, okay, I'm a little tipsy. This is good. Had stein. We had also had some of the booze. We had some samples of things. In fact, there was it Johnny Walker, I think, the whiskey brand, had a booth set up where you could have all the samples you wanted of little mixed drinks of whiskey. And so I think combination of that, beer, what else did we have in there? Some wines and some other stuff that others were sampling. That it, could feel that. And
that's dangerous. Oh my god.
I think we were talking about the only thing we were missing was tequila, which I'm actually quite happy to have avoided. So yeah, had a good amount. So by the time we got to Helga's, I was feeling it to the point of kind of like the body was telling me that maybe I had too much in me and that I should somehow let it out. And so I got that little bit of like a feeling in my gut that said, ooh, I do not like having all of this in me. This is no bueno. And so
too much poison.
Well, the thing about that was I never actually threw up or anything like that. It just really felt like I needed to for a while, and I tried to eat some of the food and only had a little bit, and so not even enough to soak it. So I mostly needed time. And I took a few trips where I actually just wandered around and kind of like walked to try to get some of it off me. And so I did that several times, and it still was not quite enough. So eventually, a friend of mine picked me up from it, and then we actually went out to another event last night, which was I don't know what it officially would have been called, but Denver Water Lantern Festival, I think is what it's officially called, or something to that effect.
All right.
Essentially what it is kind of in the Japanese lantern style, little paper lanterns. They actually do it, and it costs to get in because they give you a piece of wood that has a little thing set up on it. So these are something they've made, and I think they reuse each year, with little posts in it and a little thing of paper that wraps around it. And they give you a pen, and you actually get to write on your own little either things you want to say, pictures, or things like that to put onto the lantern. And from there, you basically are out at this lake, and you let all the lanterns go at the same time. So they start at like 7 o'clock at night once it's dark, and they let everybody put these little paper lanterns out on the water. And they've updated, so it's not that you're setting an actual candle in there. They have the little electric tea lights. But they actually work surprisingly well. And they do that. And one of the things that you're paying for when you pay for the lantern and everything you're getting is it also is for the people working the event to actually clean up everything afterwards, since you have these thousands of paper lanterns being put on the lake.
Right. That makes sense.
In the water. So there's that. And so but it was really pretty. And I took some pictures on my phone because I didn't have time to go down and actually pick up my camera like I'd kind of intended to, because I thought, this is an opportunity where there's probably going to be it'll be neat, right? A bunch of paper lanterns at night floating on a lake.
Very beautiful, yeah.
It'd be pretty neat. And so I did take some of my camera on my phone. And so the challenge is, I've got a decent phone. I've got an iPhone 10 that I'm running now, and so it has a nice camera and everything. And I'll kind of show it to the stream. I mean, it's not going to look that great, but I do have just some images I took, and I posted
That's
some.
The kind of thing that I maybe it's just a lack of prowess of me personally, but for me, I tend to think that any site that requires human eyes, which are really, really good at like filtering between darkness and brightness, especially with something like that where there's lots of little pinpoints of light that's beautiful. We are really, cameras are really bad in comparison to the human eye. So I can see why, no matter what you take, I don't think the hardware is really there yet to take a good.
There's ways to capture kind of that moment and that feeling of what you're seeing, but you're right. Yeah. To get the actual,
you need to be super, super close. Like you need to have like a lantern in your face, pretty much, to get a good shot out of that.
I guess I've seen some amazing photography. Honestly, I continue to see some amazing photography out there, and I'm always wanting to be able to do better with it. So one of the fun things about this is I took it as an opportunity to challenge myself with the kind of concept of, it's not or whatever camera you have on you is the best camera, because it's the one that lets you actually capture the moment. That concept. And so I challenged myself with the phone to say, could I actually take decent pictures of this while, having to deal with the fact that it was like dark and I'm trying to shoot lit things, and, it's out on the water and I'm doing this by hand. And so all those little things to fight against. So I'm hoping, and I was kind of doing the photography skills test, I guess. And so we'll see how they came out. I posted them on Facebook, but I haven't looked at them really in a larger screen yet to see how well they look. So we'll see. But hopefully they came out well. But yeah, that was fun.
I hope the best. But I'm just saying, I wasn't trying to say that it's impossible to do these kind of photos. It's very, very difficult.
Well, give me a bigger lens to capture on all day long. I mean, that's one of the advantages of full-on cameras, right? Is the actual sensor is bigger and therefore more sensitive and able to create better images. What they have to shove into the camera on the sensor is actually tiny, in comparison. It's got a lot of pixels, but it is physically a very small capturing element. And so there's pieces of that. And so, yeah. No, but so hopefully those came out, and we'll see how it goes. But the festival itself was kind of fun. It was really just chill, kind of hang out up by this lake and kind of watch what's going on around. And from there, listen to music they were playing and see the pretty lights and just kind of hang out. There were food trucks and such, but unfortunately, I did not take advantage of any of them because I was still suffering from the day's events. And so it was still just kind of a nice way to chill out and enjoy the lights. So that was fun. But that's
beautiful. That's
pretty
much.
That
sounds very relaxing.
It was a good moment to kind of just chill out. So that sounds pretty much like what I have been doing that hasn't been geek this week.
One last thing, you actually reminded me. I saw a video getting shared across Facebook, and people were complaining. They were like, "Oh, pollution and destroying the environment," and there's always an argument for that. But regardless, it was pretty cool. It was this. I think it was in Taiwan or something. They made like a gigantic lantern. So instead of these little ones that are like pot sized, they made one that was like house sized. And they had this bonfire inside it that lit it to make it go up, and it was just floating away, and it was really cool and beautiful. I mean, admittedly, it's probably very dangerous and dumb to do, and it must be terrible for the environment. But it was still cool to see.
I was gonna say, let people have fun. Stop killing everything. Actually, I was having a whole discussion the other day online, or just seeing some people going on it, that there's apparently a trend out there lately, and I've seen some of it where people are kind of, I guess, wanting to make fun of groups or such that they don't share the same interests in. And so in it, I've seen some things where, like, in this time of year where it's becoming fall, a lot of people come up saying that, oh, hey, it's season for pumpkin spice. That is one of the things.
Oh, yes.
Right? Okay, and see, your comment, the way you said that is exactly how I feel. I love me some pumpkin spice. But it's interesting because on social media, I've seen a lot of people kind of go on about it, saying that, not letting others have fun, kind of complaining about the stuff that other people are enjoying and happy to do. And so you get all these things where they're kind of like, oh no, all the pumpkin spice, it's that time, and all the white girl basic, and this. And it's like, I like pumpkin spice. Why are people mad?
When I was traveling up from Ipswich last time, because because I've never had it before, and I thought to myself, you know what? I'm gonna bite the social embarrassing bullet there, because it was all just like truckers around me.
Okay.
Starbucks. And I was like, I don't give a crap. I'm bigger than half these guys here, and I don't think anybody's going to be that like. I don't think I'm going to care anyway. I mean, it's just social pressure. So I went up and ordered it, and the clouds didn't fall from the sky, and nobody came over and tried to put a noose on me. It was perfectly fine. I just ordered the drink that I wanted. I drank it. I enjoyed it. It was very sweet and tasty.
Good. This is good to hear. Because, the other side was, the one that actually started the conversation on social media was someone posting up about pineapple pizza. Pineapple and Canadian bacon are basically Hawaiian-style pizza, right? I feel the same way. I actually quite enjoy pineapple on pizza. But for some reason, that seems to become some kind of like us versus them big fight on the internet about whether you're allowed to enjoy things like that, where people get all butthurt.
I'm fine with it when it's in humor, right? Like, oh, you're so disgusting for like I hate mushrooms, right? So I find it funny to be like, oh my god, what is wrong with you? Mushrooms are disgusting. You're clearly in the wrong here. Your taste buds are actually wrong. Like, I find that funny to say, and it is in humor. But if people literally start doing like, no, we should genuinely ban it. That's when I'm like,
well, people seem to get surprisingly angry about it, or just lots of things they bring up about it, and so it's always caught me off guard, because I don't know why people would want to take the time to bring that up to make an issue of something. It's like, how is it hurting anyone else that somebody put some pineapple on their pizza and they're enjoying it? That someone ordered a pumpkin spice something. For me, it's chai tea lattes, but hey, just let them enjoy it. Yeah, pumpkin spice chai tea latte. Just throwing that out there.
I tried pumpkin spice. I just like chai tea latte.
No, I go that extra step with pumpkin spice. So good.
Ooh, okay.
So yeah. Anyhow, that time of year. But yeah, so that's me just enjoying all of that. So yeah, it bugs me because I see it and I don't understand what people seem to like, why they feel they enjoy or need to hate on people for the things they love when it's not hurting them. So anyhow, that was just
you be happy.
Right. That's exactly what it feels like to me, and so I don't get it.
Do you know that I don't know if you watched the episode of The Simpsons. That's how I first learned the difference between the two words. But envy and jealousy, right? One being to be jealous of something is to not want somebody else to have something that you enjoy, right? So when you watch somebody drink a pumpkin spice latte and you think, I don't want them to have that. That's what I enjoy. I don't want them to have it. And then there's envy where you're like, I want that thing instead. This is like this whole like, oh, you can't enjoy it because I don't enjoy it is like reverse jealousy.
It's so weird. Yeah, so weird. Anyhow, so sorry, that just remembered that, and anyhow, totally neither here nor there, does not matter at the moment, but yeah, that just it caught me off guard. I was like, yeah, I don't know why people are like that. So anyhow, that's pretty much what I've got that is not geek this week. Otherwise, it's not that I've done a ton geek either, but I think it's time for us to transition over to talk about things that are a little bit geek. So let's go ahead and jump into... Oh, it's running so slow today.
I don't hear them anyway, so I was sort of hoping for some cue from you to let me know that it's passed.
Well, no, it's thinking, and I don't understand why. Like, I clicked it, I'm still waiting for it, so expect to hear Copy's voice here in a second. Right? It's like, come here, sometime now.
I've got a 2-second audio file, I can't handle that. I only have 16 gig of RAM.
No, I've got 32.
You have what? Why did you have 32 gig of RAM?
So I can run all the things. Why wouldn't I have 32 gigs?
I frequently tell my students that even if you're like one of the like biggest video gamers in the world, you don't really need more than 16, and that's generally true.
See, you say this, Ken, but like my machine right now, as I kill Winamp to be able to try to play it back, let's see, performance-wise, I'm using a bit of CPU of my 12 cores of 3.8 gigahertz processor. I'm at like 70-something%. And my memory, I'm currently using 14.6 of my 32 gigs of memory.
Oh, you pure soul. How can you survive?
Well, this is what I'm saying. It's one of those that I think it's absolutely appropriate that I use all that is there. How is it that Discord seems to be taking up all of my processing power?
Interesting. There must be something behind that. Maybe you can restrict it, or I don't know.
It looks like it almost looks like there's multiple instances of it or something.
That might be something. Let me check mine. So, for God's sake, I hate Windows tries to by default give you the simplistic view. I'm like, go away. Nope. WoW's taking up most of mine. Discord's doing 20% of my CPU. I've got an i7, a quite nice one.
Oh yeah, Discord's taking about 20% of mine. WoW's taking about 10.
Although Discord is 32-bit, which might be part of the reason.
Yeah, mine too. That might be. Darn it, Discord, update. Everything should be 64-bit these days.
I'm checking if there is one.
All right, so I will ignore that and assume that maybe that's just the way it is. But anyhow, let's see. I'll give it one more shot for trying to do. Let's see. Can I bring back up? I'm going to bring it one more time to try to play the game or the sounds that we want. So, bring me back Winamp one time. It seemed to want to die. Not actually find the sound files I was playing. So now, if I can go to the actual show and say,
I'm a geek. Are you a geek? Geek cred, level up!
There we go. That one is what I wanted to play. So now we can talk about things geek. Ken, what have you been doing that's been more geek this week?
Well, actually, let's save it for after the break and instead go into our email that we received.
Oh, yeah. Start with that, and as you read the email, I will cue us up some music.
Sure. Okay, so this is from Cupcheck, aka H2O Happy Dude. So I'm streaming more, and while I'm doing 8 Maverick any percentage runs of Mega Man X, and I get this email from Wizards of the Coast with the offer of doing a preview stream for not only the new set of guilds of Ravenica, I don't know, but it's the new free-to-play version of Magic called Magic Arena. That's cool. They give us God accounts, giving us crap ton of in-game currency to play whatever we want. However, the event is only for 24 hours. That's pretty neat. That'll not only let people do some crazy stuff in the game, and that'll be good ad revenue for them, as in like it'll be a good way of getting public engagement and advertisement for the game without actually spending any money. But it also gets people to do some beta testing for them. Having the power to brew and play the decks I would never have the money for IRL was a refreshing change of pace, as they should have never given me this power in the first place. If you want to catch up with the VODs, they are on my YouTube channel, and timestamps are in the future. On the non-gaming note, I have extreme pain in my left arm for the most mundane chore at work. From doing the most mundane chore. Taking out the garbage. Upon talking to my physical therapist about it, I went from cool and calm to extremely ticked off. They confirmed what I said 2 years ago, as they confirmed that it's a pinched nerve causing all this pain. For 2 years, they were poking me in the back, completely ignoring the real issue that was only 6 inches away.
Oh, no.
Keep me in your thoughts as I go to work. Take care, Cup Check. Yeah, that sucks, dude. I have a friend who's got a pinched nerve in his back, and it's in between where he also had a slip disc.
Gee whiz.
He was pressing on it. Yeah, it was really, really bad. He was on such heavy medication that, and this was during like heavy thesis writing time. I don't know how he managed to finish in time. Poor guy. He was in such pain. Like, it was like pretty much heroin he was on. It was like methadone. He was on such strong painkillers for so long. He had to then deal with the addiction afterwards because he was legitimately addicted to the pain meds because it was on such a high dosage.
Yikes.
Time to happen, right? It's a huge problem in the US, the opioid crisis, but it's still a problem here, but not as big. But he managed to get over it with just sheer willpower. But he says he still feels like the part of his brain telling him to go get more. It can't shut it off. And he says it's really horribly annoying because it was completely out of his control. And when he was on it, he was barely even aware of anything. Like he wasn't allowed to drive. He kept popping pills every day. Anyway, sucks to be in that position, dude.
Yeah.
Be careful which route you follow down. Please take that as a warning. Pain medication only helps so much, but sadly, with that kind of pain, with it being nerve pain, there's not much you can do to block that. So distract your mind instead of anything else. So have some tasks to work on. I'm glad to hear you're working on your streaming stuff, etc. That's probably the best you can do. Good luck with all that, sir. And hey, nice one with getting the beta invite to do the streaming and such with Wizards of the Coast thing. That's very cool.
Yeah, as well as I'll be curious to hear more about what you've been doing with that because I got into that beta as well for Magic the Gathering. Just as I got, I think, an email or came across social media, I think maybe. And in there was looking like, free Magic? Sure, I'll check that out. So I played through today, in fact, the intro to that, but I'll talk about that a little more after the break. When we get into as we get into our geek cred, so we are going to listen to a song now from Brad Sucks. Thank you very much for that Cup Check. We always like to get our emails in to see what your guys' geek has been. And so I will be playing one from Brad Sucks called Fake It. And so hopefully,
good song.
Yes, you guys will be back in about 3.5 minutes. So you're listening to ShowX on VTWProductions.com, and we'll be back right after this.
Send in your emails to showx@vtwproductions.com.
Make it up every day. I'll have you know I got nothing to hide. If it's the same with you, I'll be on my way out to something that I like. Well, now, can't explain the changes in my patience lately. Or decide. I can't explain the changes in my patience lately. Alright, is it so hard to fake it? Is it so hard to fake it? Is it so hard to take wrong advice? Is it so hard? Ooh, and I got something that you can't treat. Modern science says it can't be. And every morning when I can't sleep, oh, I'll be yelling that I can't breathe, and I wonder why. I can't explain the changes in my patience lately, or decide. I can't explain the changes in my patience lately. Alright, is it so hard to fake it? Is it so hard to fake it? Is it so hard to take wrong advice?
listening to Show X on btwproductions.com.
Almost.
Copy.
No.
Copy at the end.
No, that's not copy at the end. That is Pusa's spawn at the end.
Indeed.
All right. So it's time for us to continue to talk about Geek. Your turn, sir.
Yeah, a couple things in the Twitch chat. Where's my Twitch one? There it is. First I wanted to bring up. Roxy says that she's been playing an epic amount of Destiny 2 as her geek cred. And yeah, we saw that actually. Like every time we jumped on, we're like, "Oh no, she wants to play games with us," and then you're there. So we're like, "Oh, maybe not." Also, Copy says that Copy will be 12 tomorrow, and her geek cred is Brewfest. So I think that means Copy's druid, actually named Copy, will be 12 years old tomorrow.
Yes, Copy keeps track of the birthdays of each of her main tunes that she has played for a while now.
I typed in /played, and on my Demon Hunter it's 18 days, 23 hours. That's not too bad. That's not so bad at all, considering I remember on my EU account I had over a year. So.
Well, so far on this new account, I've got 16 hours and 49 minutes. And 1 hour on this level, apparently. It makes me curious to go check my longest tune I have, my Druid, although that's not my most played tune, because that one I had given away on a different account. But I'm kind of curious to keep track of those as well.
Yeah, I wish we could have like a general lifetime of stats for our actual lifetime. Like, oh, you did this and this and this. You spent 17 hours pooping. Like, I'd love to see all that.
Although it's interesting, that'd be funny. Maybe that'll be the next enhancement that comes out with all the smartphones and smartwatches. Something that tracks all of your time with that, because one of the things that recently got announced or released was iOS 12, update that I now have on my iPhone 10. And one of the new pieces it has is screen time, which I'm sure, like all things that Apple adds to its software, has already been done by everything Android.
Yep.
But
that battery manager's covered that for about 8 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, so I'm sure you're aware of how that works. Although I don't know how to get to it directly. Screen time. No, because it's not something I can search for, but I think in the settings, or at least somewhere in there, it brings it up, where it actually shows how much time you've been doing on different categories of applications, I believe, as well as very specific ones. And cool. I saw it recently because it was something where I think it was telling me about, there we go, screen time. Yeah, it says that I have spent, is this today's, or how's this work? I think, today it shows social media. Since I've woken up and been on the phone today, it shows, or in the last 24 hours, I guess, it shows I was on for 56 minutes in social media, 15 minutes for entertainment, and 7 minutes for productivity applications. It's interesting.
That's cool.
So in a way, it would be kind of, I don't know if I'd want to know, specifically like how much time my life has been broken out into from, as you're saying, spending time in the washroom versus time sleeping versus time eating versus, heaven forbid, time actually at work. That's always a scary stat. Yeah.
Well, if anybody is interested, I built a little program for this actually, because I was quite interested in it myself. It's called Chronos. It's a little Java program which you run. It runs in the background, and it stores all of the information of what you have up on your Windows machine, and stores it in a CSV file in the background. You can open it up as a pie chart, or you can use the CSV file yourself to monitor what's going on. It doesn't launch automatically or anything. You have to launch it yourself each time. But it's called Chronos. You just download it, and you have to make it into a jar file, I guess. So I should probably make a jar version for the non-programmer out there now I think about it. But if you're interested in that kind of thing, you can check it out. It's a bit of a bother to get to work, but there you have it.
But it's a way.
Cool, actually, it tracks the title of the program you're on. So even if you're in Chrome, it'll see that you're actually on, Facebook or Reddit or whatever by the first few words of the title. So it can store different tabs as well. So you can actually see your web browsing history as well as your general window history.
As long as that's something that is not shared out.
It does not share out unless you share the computer, I guess.
The side part of the thing that Ken doesn't tell you is that all the stats are being sent directly to his repository, so that he can.
Of course, especially passwords. Mostly passwords.
I was saying, no, you do that just with like the actual time on program. You're just selling it as advertisements, right?
Yeah. And you'll notice your camera pop on. Just ignore that. Just ignore the light that goes on. That's not important. That was just a test. Just testing to make sure everything's working okay. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. It's for your benefit. That's what you gotta understand. Yeah. Anyhow, sorry as I digress. So Ken,
Geek Cred. Sorry, I went on a slight tangent there. So yeah, the same as always. The game that shall not be named, has been going on as usual for me. I think the best time that I enjoyed this when we actually played together earlier in the week and last Sunday. We jumped on together and we all started playing, and it was just nice. You know, we did a couple dungeons, and it reminds me of old school gaming. You know, like playing with friends. That's what's most important. And I really did enjoy that. I don't know about you guys, but even though I was playing a card I don't particularly like, my dummy druid, playing tank, which is I already do on my main, so I always look for something different when I play alts. But I just like the fact that we have a cohesive group and we actually chat to each other, and even if we're not doing great sometimes, like we do dumb stuff, like I took us in the wrong direction and stuff a couple of times, or I pull too hard and stuff. It's still fun, you know. It's fun to try and deal with that. So I really enjoyed that. Recently, I've been trying to get my DH, my Demon Hunter, to do more lore master stuff. So I'm trying to do random quests here and there. General, just achievement whoring. Like wherever I go, like if I see like a fishing area that I haven't fished before, I try and go fish there for achievements. I try to do profession stuff in general. I only just recently noticed that they took first aid out of the game. I think they implemented it into tailoring. That was a little confusing for me.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day, where all of a sudden we can't make our own bandages.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I mean, I guess it makes sense. I mean, you already have food, so what's the point, right? So
well, not just
sell bandages.
Not just that, they've also at least it's like on my rogue, right? They have whatever that skill is now, where I can get, a slight instant heal, or kind of not instant, but a little bit of a heal over time. That I don't believe was originally a rogue ability, so I think it kind of adds for that as well for sustainability, and so it took me a little bit to even understand that. Like, oh, that's what I can do now. That makes sense.
It makes sense. I mean, shamans can heal themselves, paladins can heal themselves, priests can heal themselves, monks can heal themselves, demon hunters heal themselves by attacking stuff, death knights heal themselves by attacking stuff, warriors heal themselves by killing something then attacking something else, so on and so forth, right? So why would rogues not have their own self-heal? It makes perfect sense. Yeah,
but it's just one of those new things again, kind of. It hadn't been something before, and so it's like, oh, wow, okay.
It was just nice to have the first aid, because it was nice to get to max. That's the only reason. And when the entire reason for a skill is just so that you can not do it anymore, it does make me question why it exists in the first place. So I suppose they were right in removing it. It was kind of a dumb skill. And it'd be cool if, I don't know, if it was like a main skill and you could specialize and maybe be like a healer in dungeons from it or something, but then what's the point, right? I don't know. So yeah, I've been playing this and it's been good fun. I've been enjoying screwing around people and having fun with people and stuff like that. It's been enjoyable. I mean, I don't really have much time to be on this week. It's usually just to jump on and say hi and do a quick dungeon or a quest or two or something.
Which admittedly is kind of nice too, because for me, I've just been jumping on to kind of level a bit as I've tried. I'm currently 27, so I'm trying to keep up so that I can become useful for everyone. But at the same time, what's nice, so in that sense, I've just now graduated from Darkshore area over to Ashenvale for my leveling progression. But the nice thing is having that looking for groups and being able to look for dungeons, that kind of stuff thing, makes it so that us as a group can all just jump in and start playing together. And we all can participate. It does the nice leveling kind of matching thing, I guess.
Oh, that thing's great, isn't it? Isn't it awesome?
It is. And okay, here's the perspective. So as Serathis in the IRC was saying, like, what? Self-heals in classes, that's nothing new. That's like 3 expansions ago. Fair. For me, it's pretty new. Because I played a little bit into, I played some of Burning Crusade and then, touched Wrath. And that was the last time I actually cared about the game. And I started, a couple of the sub-20 accounts when I think Mists of Pandaria first started and never got out of the startings, and I just wanted to see what goblins were about. And so that's kind of all I had touched in WoW for any length of time for years. And so now coming back after all of these various expansions, to me, this is very significantly new. And so I'm feeling it where it's kind of like, okay, what's good, what's bad, what about this do I not like so far? So far, I've got to say that most things I've enjoyed. That the kind of changes and things I've been doing with WoW have made sense and been fun. So I'm pretty happy with at least the gameplay as I've been able to get through it so far. And it has been, like you said, Ken, a joy of kind of playing with friends and getting back together where, getting groups of 4 or 5 of us together to run some quick dungeons. Or in this case, like after the show today, hopefully go through a bunch of Brewfest quests. Since I honestly have never completed one of those. I've done, that's the other thing. I've only ever done a handful of the, holiday or seasonal events.
Yeah, they kind of piss me off. I struggle. Even now when I'm trying achievement, I still struggle to do them. I kind of just hate them.
Do you tend to do them on your own or as a group, or?
I've done half the Brewfest ones in this week already. And I just you do them by yourself generally, but some of them have dungeons and stuff associated as well. So you need to go do a dungeon and kill a specific thing and then unlock an item or whatever. But just so many of them are based on dailies, and that annoys me. I don't want to go do the same thing every day and go to the same area every day. I just don't do it.
No, that is something that will almost always turn me off. Is I don't like to do repetitive quests, but I wouldn't be against at least exploring them all at least once to kind of see those aspects of the game, because that's been entertaining for me, is this somewhat fresh look at what WoW offers that I wasn't doing before. And so that's been cool. And again, so far, I'm enjoying it.
Copy shared the achievement in chat there for everybody who's not in the game. What a long, strange trip it's been, where she's got all 8 holiday achievements completed, the sort of meta achievements. So she's got the 8 achievements which encompass all the other achievements for each event, right?
Oh, wow.
So if there's 10 Christmas ones, she's done all 10 Christmas ones, which unlock the 1 meta one, and then she has the 8 meta ones across all the holidays, and with that you get a pink dragon or something. I can't remember something.
I know she gets all of the different mounts and such, so... Copy has many.
Yeah. I'm currently on 9,600 achievement points, and I would like to increase that. But on my old account, I used to have 12,000. I used to have a bunch of stuff like Lore Master. I used to have exploration stuff. I don't have any of that here, so I'm trying to catch up with it. It's annoying because my 10 years of stuff there is gone. So.
Ooh. So my overall,
it's on the EU side.
Yeah, it's just on the other side. For me, I've got 1,200 achievement points overall, and that's again from.
You're kicking my butt.
Well, that's from multiple accounts or characters I've had, because I've still maintained a presence under this account for some time, and so they're there. I just haven't done much. And in the guild chat, Copy says Violet Protodrake, or shares it.
There we go.
So that's the shiny that you get from it. So yeah, she's shown that off before. I think combination of that, her Lore Master, and all those other things, where I have not come anywhere close to, because that is intimidating. But this is where I think it'll be fun doing some of these quests together, especially right now to finish up Brewfest as that's happening. So that'll be today's goal, and then we'll go from there. For me also, let's see, in WoW in general, the leveling process has been fine. It's still a bit of a challenge for me, feeling like the lore as presented in a lot of the questing is very powerful to me. Starting off at Darkshore and going through the corruption that's happening out there has been meh for me. It makes sense, that's what's happening, cool, but it doesn't feel that epic at that sub 20 level for questing. It is basically a because even the activities you're doing are go kill all of those and get this. You get a little bit of, now that you've found this corruption, you need to go cure it here. And thankfully, the mechanics in the game allow for some of the progression or change in the world. So you see some of it, but at the same time, it's not significant enough. I kind of wish they'd gone through, I don't know, maybe it makes sense or not, to go all the way back through the game and go do some level of the, what's the progression piece? The phasing. Because I solved the corruption in the area, but all the creatures are still corrupted, and so and that's just
that's always kind of a problem. Even phasing only works with an extreme amount of programming to make it effective. I mean, otherwise, even like dumb stuff. Like I noticed the other day, I went over to heal a dude who was bleeding out on the floor.
Right.
And once I healed him, he stood up but was still bleeding. You know, I was like, okay.
Well,
and his name was Injured Sailor or something. I was like,
yeah.
Okay. Like, why? Just call him Sailor. That would have solved the problem in the first place.
Well, and they've done some places where they've kind of got it right, where I've seen, in the cases like that where you'll heal someone and they'll then like disappear from that point in the future. They're no longer there. Awesome. Or if they died or something like that, they're gone. And so you don't see them anymore. Cool. Other ones I've seen where I think it's example I think they did a decent job, although I haven't witnessed it myself, where if you kill certain bosses of dungeons or things like that they'll change the name of it the next time you come down, that the main one was destroyed, and so now what's down there is kind of a follow-on version or something.
Oh yeah, there's some places that have done it really well, yeah.
Yeah, some places have done, which is neat as a way to do some level of progression in an MMO. Because that's very difficult. It's one of my challenges with any MMO is that you're never really going to see progression because they always have to keep the world available for anyone to go experience these things, not just you. Mm-hmm. And so that's always been a bit of a challenge for me. And so I've seen some cases where it's done well and some that are just like ignored. And maybe it's because you're expected to just progress out of those zones so quickly. And so why spend the effort? I don't know. But that's been an interesting piece of some things I've kind of run into and seen. Anyhow. Also, because I don't know what's going on in the event, but every once in a while all these big things start exploding from the ground and throwing people all around the world. And so this last time I got thrown into one of the brew huts, and I think I'm hiding out in there, and so far I've been safe. It's happened again.
Oh, so the world's getting attacked by the dwarf iron dudes? You should jump in there because there's an achievement related to that.
Well, so, yeah, I will pay attention after the show to see it. I've kind of kept it in the background behind my window, so I see what's going on around me, and all of a sudden I'd see these things pop up and throw me around, so I was kind of like, oh, okay. Anyhow. Other things, let's see. What else do you have, Ken, that's still geek? I mean, that was me talking a little bit a while on what my experience has been, and it's been a good time, and thank you for those that are out there who've been gaming with us, who've been in the guild and have been joined with us. Appreciate it. It definitely makes it more fun.
It really does. It really makes the game worth playing. Being able to jump on and see it. God, geek stuff. I finished another book from driving back and forth.
Oh, nice.
So that's me. I'm rereading the Codex Alera series. The Jim Butcher stuff. Yeah, I wish I loved I wish I enjoyed the Files series. I definitely prefer the Codex Alera stuff, even though it's much less popular compared to the Dresden Files from what I've seen.
That'll be interesting because I still haven't read those, and so as I'm finishing the last available book in the Dresden series right now, I am curious what I'll start reading next. I feel like I should take a break from Jim Butcher and move to something else. I've had some people recommend some things recently, but part of me wants to kind of jump into the other series and be like, all right, this is going to be totally different. What's this like? So I'm very curious.
It's nothing like the Dresden Files. It's such a different tone.
That's...
And honestly, I was shocked when I read the Dresden Files because it was so unlike Codex Alera.
Interesting.
I was like, is this the same author? I couldn't quite believe it.
Well, that I think would be really entertaining for me, something I'd like to see. So I'll be curious for that one.
Cool. Yeah, I absolutely recommend reading it. And reading it through, this is my third time reading this. It's been quite fun because there's a lot of stuff that now, well, it feels like the second time, right? Because it's been so long. But there's a lot of stuff that I enjoy hearing about again, and I'm like, oh, I know what happens with that guy. Oh, I know who he really is. Oh, I know, that kind of stuff. It's quite fun. There's a lot of hints throughout it about the story, and you're like, oh, I get that hint now. Back then I didn't, but now I do.
Nice.
It's enjoyable. Let's see. Oh, I've also installed Skyrim.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, because I played it on my old computer and with mods and loved it. And it was always a beautiful game, but I can never put up to ultra. I was only on high. So now that I've got a computer that can definitely handle an ultra, I had a PlayStation 4 after that, of course, PS4 Pro at that, and that was even more gorgeous than my computer was. However, the mods are fairly limited. They're not. You can still get mods, but they're just limited. So now I've got a computer that can handle both the mods and the best graphics yet. And so I'm looking forward to playing with that and installing a ridiculous number of mods. I think what I'm probably going to do is find a collection, like an actual collection of mods, so that I don't need to think too much about which ones are going to be compatible and which ones are not.
Gotcha.
That's my plan anyway. So I'll if I have a chance in the next week to play it, I'll update and see how that goes. I should also mention there's a guy at my work who very kindly has offered to look at the microphone and audio mixer. So I forgot to mention at the top of the show.
Oh, good.
For those that know, I actually have a much nicer microphone than I usually use in this crappy webcam. But something happened, I think a surge, which killed it. So I want to go and get it looked at. I had it looked at by a professional in the shop, but they basically said, from what we can tell, is a surge and it's fried. We couldn't get any connectivity out of it. This other guy is more of like a hobbyist. However, he spends a lot of time doing this kind of stuff. He loves 3D printing and he loves hardware, and he's always soldering and unsoldering stuff since he was like 8 years old, and he's now 50. So he will definitely have a better chance, I think, than even the professional. I said to him that we're happy to help pay for getting it fixed and stuff, and he said, no, you don't need to pay me. And I was like, hey man, it's not me paying you. Don't think about it as shouldn't paying you. This is we have sponsorship in the form of funding to help pay for this kind of stuff. Please do not feel like it's coming from me. It's really coming from a bunch of our dedicated listeners who support us financially, and so that we can afford to get rid of these kind of problems quickly. And he said, okay, that's fair enough. So we'll be paying him a small amount, and I'll of course update the threads and stuff with whatever's going with that.
Yes.
So I think that's everything I want to mention in my geek cred.
No, that's all right. That's part of our continuing saga to try to make sure Ken gets updated. He's got the computer going now, but now it's back to audio. In fact, I was looking because there's some deals on Monopress, I think, for some podcasting equipment, a mixer and microphone, but I think they're only slightly off. But have kept that in mind after the challenges that you're suffering through right now. And hopefully they'll see something. I'm in a similar situation where, like I said, I have my old Logitech subwoofer speaker ripped apart here, and I need to figure out how to best troubleshoot the electronics on it, like troubleshoot traces and such. So I probably have to sit with my multimeter over there and figure out how it's laid together, because I'm pretty sure I want to be able to fix that thing, because you can't buy these speakers anymore. And I think, the last time I saw they get an equivalent somewhere around $250, $300 for the set. So if I can get it fixed, it'd be great. And I've had more success with soldering and with electronics lately, so I have a hope. But yeah, as you get into the little finer equipment like a microphone and mixer board, that's... In fact, I hope...
Yeah, apparently it's quite tough, is what the guy was saying as well, so...
Yeah,
so we'll see. We'll see.
We hope, because we would love to hear your Scottish voice coming through nice and clean and beautiful like we've heard it in the past.
Yeah, it deserves it, doesn't it?
Ah!
It's
Nice.
a voice that deserves to be heard.
There you go. Well, it has to get that full dynamic range. So let's see. What else has been going on my side of things that have been geeky? As was mentioned in the email, I also got into the Magic the Gathering Arena beta that's going on. I think pretty much anyone can. You just sign up and go to the Wizards of the Coast website under Magic the Gathering. And with that, I played this morning. I was going to actually jump into WoW earlier and start leveling, but instead I decided to check out this alpha. Got through the tutorial session, essentially. And it's slick. It has a neat interface. It's still Magic the Gathering, like has been in so many other things. I think it was a bit of a challenge playing through it, though, to realign my mind for how it plays compared to, I think the last CCG I've played any time in has been Hearthstone, and there are some nuances, some differences between them. And so that took me a minute to remember how to kind of manage my mana, my lands and such as resources, as well as the order of things and when you can cast different abilities and such. I do like it, though, because I am tired of ever trying to actually collect the cards again. I think that's a hassle. And there's some aspects of the game
there's something to be said for it, right? That's the collectivity of it is half the fun for some people. For others, it's boring. So it's good that there's options.
That you can do it either way. For me, I also like the digital version because it keeps the rules being enforced equally across the board, even if they're not rules as you would expect it. But at least according to the engine in the game, cards can only be played in certain ways, and therefore everyone's on the same page. They're all being refereed the same way. So I like that, because that was something I remember just playing on the card game itself. We would sometimes have to interpret certain rules, and I think now there's resources out there for everyone, and so you can go and essentially, research how it would have been done or how it was used in a tournament. But for me, just having it as part of the mechanic in the game means I don't have to worry about it. I can just play more things where I can just focus on the game itself, which I think is nice.
There should always be the casual option, right? I do agree.
Yeah, so just that's been fun. I maybe put about an hour into the game. The interface is great. It's graphically sound and everything. It does look like that I have the option to put more money into the game because the beta is free, but you can buy packs. I think the only one I really saw was like $5 for some amount of cards, digitally unlocked. And so there's that, which is, that is the entire CCG model, even though it's digital. So who knows? It's there. It's what they got to do to make money is fine. But it looks like they give you enough cards to at least start playing. So I don't know if there's going to be some paywall that I run into where I pretty much have to do something different in order to continue playing the game. So we'll see. I got to figure that out. But I just touched it a little bit today, and so far I was enjoying it. I have no idea what it takes to play with friends, if it's all, how long you play against AI versus real people, none of that, because I've only spent a little bit of time. But if it's something that if you're curious to check it out, by all means, go to the Wizard of the Coast side and check out Magic the Gathering Arena, because that is their new hotness that they've shown. And it has been pretty cool. It's fun. All right. So beyond that, what else have I been doing geek-wise? Still 3D printing. In fact, on my ironing board back here, I have a bunch of little gold parts being shown, in that I have basically got everything done for a commission that I have going for a helmet to be done here, and so I'm excited for that. I plan on using a friend of mine, Hide My Errors cosplay work to cast a gem for it, because it's supposed to have this front blue gem that I think would look much nicer in resin than it will 3D printed. I printed an example of it. It's fine. It would work. But for the costuming piece, having it actually looking like a jewel would be much nicer, and I think it would be bonus for the gentleman who's going to be paying me for this. Challenge I did run into is filaments. Oh, fun of 3D printing. That so there's so many different things. There's different qualities of filament, different things you deal with the print heads themselves, and back and forth that I'm trying to figure out. I'd like to get it robust enough that I can pretty much count on what I'm doing each time. And for the most part, it's working. I've got my R2 printing right now. The R1s are both down again. This is kind of a common theme. And the challenge was, I think it's mostly been because I've had a challenging filament that was getting them clogged. And so I had to pull them apart to start cleaning them again. And I do some of the tricks that are out there, like heating it up and pushing nylon through and then letting it cool down some and then pulling, doing a cold pull to kind of clean the entire track of the filament going into where it gets melted. Because sometimes if parts can get stuck in there and get heated too many times, they become almost carbon in the sense that they cook themselves, overcook, and then don't come out cleanly. And that can kind of botch up the whole print job and cause too much friction. And the other one is I got my older R1 working again, but I decided to try out a new print nozzle on it, so I reduced it from a 0.4 millimeter to a 0.2, which is supposed to give you much finer detail. But apparently that's too much for the filament I was trying to print through it, and it was getting clogged almost right away. So I'm going to have to pull that apart again and try to switch it back to a 0.4. The little things that are constantly happening. So I at least have one running at all times so I can keep things going, because I have another commission I'd like to finish here shortly for another version of a sword blade that I need done. But so I've been 3D printing still. I've actually done a little bit of modeling. Started getting into Fusion 360, which is from Autodesk, the same company that has all the big guys out there. The
CAD-like one.
Yeah, and so they're the ones where I started out with Tinkercad, which is the browser-based online free one that you can just kind of put shapes in there, push, pull, modify slightly, and I actually had done a lot of modeling out of. That's how I'd done Crown that I'd modeled, the sword I modeled, all those things in the past where it was much more a visual aspect, and then I would size it kind of in the end. And it also has limits to how big of a volume of an object you can make. With Fusion 360, it's a standalone application on your computer itself that backs up to the cloud and uses some things there, but is much more precise. It is actually a CAD software. It has some elements into it that allow you to do things like run structural tests against materials and see where pressure points are if you do different forces. A lot of really slick things to work with it, since it is a real CAD program with some simulation and modeling on it. So I started getting to that. So far I've done nothing more than some simple couplers, just basically tubes that I've been able to model, but they've come out precise in how I wanted to, and so that's nice. Is hopefully I'll be able to get in there now and start doing some much more advanced work and start making some really neat props. That's my goal from it. So I've been doing modeling as well as still printing. I also need to find a better way to categorize all the prints I do, because not the prints themselves, but the settings and the materials, because there are such differences in print material that I want to be able to make sure I am ready to print with whatever I need to get the effects that I'm after off of something, be it shinier surfaces or just a cleaner print surface or faster prints, things like that. I want to be able to do it dynamically, and so far that's been a struggle, just because there's so many differences and I've been finding different materials all the time, so things like that. But anyhow, that's what's been going on with my 3D printing for the most part.
Cool.
Beyond that, I've been doing a little bit of crafting, trying to help La Campette with getting stuff ready for Halloween, doing a Halloween costume, so I'm doing some costuming, but not for myself yet. Got some plans for things for me.
You put all this stuff on your CV, by the way? I've been curious.
No. Because none of it has anything to do with me actually, like, the jobs I do. It's just, like, hobbies and why I never have enough sleep.
I think showing you have hobbies and passion is very important on CV.
Oh, I suppose it might be worthwhile, but at the same time, I should probably update mine, although I'm in no position where I want to change anything I'm doing, since I've been in my...
It's not even changing the company or whatever. It can even be changing internally. And it's good for your own personal reflection on yourself and how to improve stuff. There's a lot of reasons to keep your CV up to date that aren't changing job.
No, I agree, and it's something I absolutely should do and have been truly lazy about. But this is one of those things... It's like a lot of the stuff I do. I don't usually tell everyone like all the different things I'm involved in, and I don't know if it's because I feel like it's bragging in a way or something like that. I honestly,
I get that.
Well,
hobbies too.
For me, I think a lot of it is that because it's just a hobby for me, and I do so many of these things so often, I don't think about it as something that others might ever find interesting, if that makes sense. Yeah. That I'm the same, dude.
Like if I told people like about the podcast, I'd say most people that I know don't know I do a weekly podcast.
Same here.
You might see me sharing stuff on Facebook, but that's about it.
And I don't, and that maybe seem odd for people that I have a show. So what it is, I'm happy to advertise the show externally, and for all of you who are listening, to please tell your friends, invite them in, tell us what's going on, and please chat in the chat. We love to have people interacting with us on our Twitch chat to let us know what's going on and what you think of what we're saying, as well as prep us for our next shows. We're happy to be here for you. Until then, we'll just keep talking about our lives and what we've been doing, because of course we know all about that. Well, it's what I know the most about, right?
Well, we love ourselves, so it's quite easy.
Hey, as El Campo gets in there and starts saying chatty chatty. I don't know if he was in there earlier to hear when I was talking about going out and doing Oktoberfest yesterday, since he was part of the drinking and the beers and all the beers. And the funny part is, one of the stories I didn't say, we were all feeling it. I knew that I needed to stop. I don't know if he went to a point beyond that, because I know he was doing some of the... at the end, when we got to Helga's for the eating, throwing back to my dysfunctional deviation, he ended up, along with most of the group, buying additional boots of beer, which is essentially 2 liters of beer, after everything else that we had downtown, as well as I had brought down, just so you could be seeing the mug that we had, the steins that we had from Oktoberfest, that we had several of. They were good. Although, this is also telling me, because I'm looking at the front of this, that, hey, Campo, next year we're going to definitely have to go, because this says the 49th Oktoberfest for Denver, which means next year will be the 50th, and that'll be a big one.
Oh, man. Okay, well, now I'm tempted.
That should be a good time. But yeah, so it's one of those of how much... how everyone else was feeling afterwards. I know The Bachelor I saw a post on social media saying emergency was at Waffle House afterwards to get additional soaking up of beer out of the stomach. Yes. So yeah, we'll have to do that again. As well as Campo jumps in, I do appreciate this one, give us a little bit of his geek cred, that he has been playing some ranked Rainbow Six this day. In fact, he's been doing that over this weekend, and told me that they played nothing but ranked pretty much, was either yesterday or the day before, and had surprising success, that he's actually doing pretty well in Rainbow Six in ranked mode, which is fun to hear, because I am terrible at that game. I say that, he tells me I'm not. I am okay, and every once in a while have success where I might actually take some people out, but most often I feel like I'm just sitting in a corner ready to be someone's target, as it is a tactical game where you definitely have to take your time and try to protect the objective. And there's so many times I walk around a corner and have no idea that I'm in like the perfect channel for someone sniping from outside to take me out with a headshot, and sure enough it happens. So but yes, that's actually really good to hear. See, he
also says in chat that where was it? Oh man, I was hurting in reference to he had. So good for him. Good for you guys.
Hey! Yeah, no, we definitely had lots of alcohol. And shout out to his wife for being our DD to get us to and from everything
that's
safely.
awesome.
Because originally we were going to take the
Unsung
train.
heroes
Oh, yeah,
of the
absolutely.
world.
Absolutely, no. Much props for that, for getting us downtown and back safe. Oh, boy. But yeah, so much beer. Agreed, Campo.
Safe being the key word. Drink driving should not be underestimated.
It is not, although we have different standards in different countries. But yes, so let's see. Other than that, geek-wise, I still am throwing in on my League of Legends games here on occasion. If you ever see me on there, I'm happy to jump into an ARAM with everybody. But I think that's most of what I've been doing. I've also been getting down and trying to do some photo edits. I need to keep up with those. And so I did a photo shoot for La Campette to get some senior pictures done. So I've got those edited and done, so which means I'm jumped back down to DragonCon. So I put out another batch of DragonCon photos, and I'm stuck right now on a set of those where professional cosplayer Ginny D, who I've worked with around here, a local Colorado cosplayer. I did a shoot with her in, what is it called? She has a costume. Oh gosh, it's some kind of troll character that has donuts. I forget what it's called. It's Lucky something. Well, I was just looking at it. Let's see. I'll go back on and check out what the page is. But anyhow, I haven't seen a lot of photos from that costume of hers yet, and she's really proud of it because it was a ton of work. But it's one that I actually sat down and we happened to run into each other. And so while we're at kind of this arch that's out in a park in Atlanta that everybody shoots at, I grabbed her and said, all right, well, I'm going to take some pictures of you because that's something I need to do. Hers was a Jester costume, and it's Jester Lavore from Critical Role. And so that's the cosplay she has together. It's a bunch of progress photos. She did a really great job with it. And so I need to get some photos out for her on that that I think she'll be happy to see. So I've been working on those, and hopefully I'll get through and continue to finish up the DragonCon photo shoot. Edit those here soon. All of those things kind of going on at once, let alone, like I said, fixing the car and everything else around the house. But that's pretty much what I've been doing that's been geek.
Nice. Sounds fairly productive as well as fun.
Oh, also, as Campo brought up, and I totally forgot to mention that, shout out to his wife as well, because one of the contests they had at the game was Stein holding. And it's one where you take two of those big steins, like I showed, full of beer, and so these not light, and hold them straight out in front of you for as long as you can. And there were groups of 6 at a time, I think, that we had up there. And mixed of guys and gals. And I think most of our party went up there at some point to play it. I know Campo went up there at some point. The Bachelor went up there, the groom, he went up there as well. And
Nice.
Got through most of our group, and it was entertaining to watch that. Campo did all right, but yeah, his wife smoked it. Yeah, she got over, it was like 3 minutes, he's saying 3 minutes, 23 seconds. I think the longest we saw was somewhere in the 6-minute range, but in her group, she was just competing where there was one other guy up there with her still going, and she was out there like a hoss. And I don't know how much that Campo's wife weighs, but she is a slight little woman, but what she is pretty much all muscle. And so you see her out there just like holding this thing like a boss, just kind of like, I got this. And she was starting to
muscle, 10% willpower.
Oh gosh, it was so much. He's saying 3 stones. And so I don't know how to do that math on the top of my head, but yes, she's a slight woman.
I doubt she's 3 stones. I don't think many. She can't really be 3 stone.
Well, because that's what, 18 pounds a stone or something like that? Which would be tiny.
That's 19 kilograms. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, see, 19 kilograms also doesn't mean anything to me.
There's also a very safe thing for him to say.
I think he just threw that one out there as a weight, but with no accuracy determination behind that. All right, so let's see. Got those going on. But really, what else have I been doing? Watching some shows. Actually, I did bring a... now that it's been chill in the house and stuff, I've actually sat down in front of my TV a little bit more lately. Nice. And what was I just saw? Oh, oddly enough, I finally saw Solo. I finally watched the Solo movie.
Star Wars film.
Yeah, I finally got to catch that out. Well, it's entertaining because I knew a lot of people had seen it and I'd heard mixed stuff off it, although generally positive. I actually liked it. I enjoyed it.
I imagine it'll be good. I just don't think it'll be as good.
Well, so it is not an epic space opera Star Wars, but what I liked about it, and much like how Rogue One was done as a bridge from a past, from stories you heard about the past, this one I think checked every box of anything that was said in the original Star Wars about Han Solo, about his past. And so stuff that you saw in Solo was answering some of those questions and things where it's just like, oh, I see what you did there. You're completely playing to that specific thing where you talked about when this character does this or that, and how you got the Millennium Falcon, and how you interacted with this character, stuff like that.
Well, like it's a bit of a sellout idea, though, right?
I enjoyed it. It bridged it in a way that at least lets you know from this point to that point, that's how this took place, and it matched it in. So it might not be a complete story, but I think it did a decent job of leading itself into what we know to be the original series, unlike some of the others that I think took a lot more liberty. This one really held to like, yep, that check that box, check that box, check that box. And so the purist in me was quite happy with those things it did. Whether I loved or hated the scenes they were showing, I was happy with the fact that they kept to what lore has previously been put out there in the world. That to me is very important. Because like and we have disagreements in parts of this, but my problems with all of the prequel movies was that they did not pay attention to lore that was set down in the original series. They actually broke some of it, where this one I don't feel like did. And Saratha says the problem with Solo is that he has exactly the same character development as in the original trilogy, which is fair. Well, and that's fair, right? It's they do that, and there's some scenes there where they try to set him up for being the character that we see happen in the original trilogy. And so I was okay with that, because again, I felt they were being honest, or being at least they were cognizant and trying to keep to what the originals put down as who Han Solo was. And so I was appreciative of that. And in general, enjoyed the movie. I didn't think it was amazing, but I think it felt in the Star Wars universe. I felt like it fit the time period. I liked a lot of the little details they had at it that really actually made it for me. And so as a whole, I enjoyed the movie. I don't know where I would rank it in the overall listing. I should probably go through and do my, that should be something that maybe I keep as a geek tag or something, like almost like, the geek business card or geek cred card should have something about how do you rank all the Star Wars movies so that people can properly know how they stand. I don't know if that'd be good or bad.
A friend of mine just watched the first two Lord of the Rings for the first time, and it's because her boyfriend kind of made her
gotcha
for a long while, and she finally caved and watched it and said, yeah, she quite enjoyed it, but she didn't really like the war scenes, but loved how much character development was in it. And I was like, that's an interesting take on the series, but I agree. And I said to her, you should really watch the extended edition if that's your thought, because you'll love that, because that's pretty much what it's all about. There's very little battle, but there's lots of character development. And she said, "Oh no, we did watch that." And I was like, "Okay, now that makes sense, because that's like I said, there's more character development in the extended cut, so that's why she must have loved the extended cut that much." So that was good. But it was cool. It was weird to hear somebody just watching Lord of the Rings, because I don't think I know anybody else who's just watched Lord of the Rings. It's nice that we're all experiencing Star Wars together now, in a way. It's connecting to a time of yore that's kind of long past, where we're all watching Star Wars and excited for the next film to come out again.
In a lot of ways, yes. And we'll see, because now that they at least announced that they're doing a new cadence that'll be a little slower, that they admitted they were going perhaps too fast and doing too much, hopefully, we'll get more well-crafted movies, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm still on the jazz to see more and more Star Wars movies, so I am happy to hear them taking some time with it, because I know that Disney's investing in this since they've got the whole park thing coming and stuff like that. So there's a few aspects to it, but yes. So that should be good.
I'm super excited for it. I just wish that, rather than doing stuff like, oh, here's Han Solo's background, I'd rather they say something like, all right, let's explore whether Jedis are good and Sith are evil is entirely true, and let's have Grey Jedi, and let's explore those paths. Let's look into Raven and these cool, interesting Jedi. Like stuff that's never really been explained in the movies beforehand.
You want to see them actually. You want to see them actually expand the universe beyond these. Well, because the interesting thing, right, is that you have to see that in a way, and we'll see how. What I want to say, we'll see how Disney takes it and how willing they are to take some risks. In the sense that in books, we got a ton of great lore for the Star Wars universe and things that came out that could be totally different than what the movies originally put out there, right? We got a whole lot of like, oh, here's where the universe went, some cool characters, some great stories. Because this is the cinematic side of what Disney's doing and the way they need to make a certain amount of profit off them, are they going to be willing and courageous enough to try to do something a little different and push the envelope versus just kind of telling the stories we're comfortable with?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
you know, who knows? We'll see what happens. But that's a thought on there, because I agree. I would love to see them do some things that steer away from like the main cast and the main characters to show us other stories inside the Star Wars universe. So one of the reasons
I think the first of the new trilogy did that a little bit. We saw some new characters and it was pretty interesting, and they were a little bit different, and I quite enjoyed that.
A little bit, but it was still it was very formulatic, right? It was still mostly centered around the main characters and pushing. It didn't really push any boundaries. It was just telling us a story that we're mostly comfortable with. And yes, it introduced some new ideas and some new characters. Cool, and I'd like to see some more backstory on them. But at the same time, I'd really like to, you know, it's some of the books I've loved the best have been the ones that have been completely away from the main characters. That, you know, talked about that character you saw on the side. It was one of the reasons I love the Bounty Hunter series, because it, like, the one book that actually gave a chapters to each of the main bounty hunters you saw on the Star Destroyer when Vader goes and is talking the first time you see Boba Fett, right, and tells them all to go after to find Kenobi and everything. And so in that, I really enjoyed hearing the backstory of IG-88 and I forget the lizard guy's name, stuff like that. But all those different characters, I would love to see movies and shows that did more of that kind of exploration. That maybe even take just one side character and it maybe splits off from what they first saw and goes down a whole path of where their world goes, or those, you know, so some of the background characters and things like that.
You say that, but I'd rather it was more less character oriented and more theme or like universe oriented. So, for example, like I said, the Force, right? The idea of the Force. I'd love to see, like, even if it was like a movie dedicated to short stories about the Force and how it interacts with people throughout the entire universe. Maybe have them come together in the end with these different characters to achieve a goal, and we can see how the Force works in this universe. I think that would be so cool, you know? Seeing how it could influence them to people to be good, to be bad, and how to achieve a balance, and what balance means. That would be of interest to me.
I could see that, and I think, honestly, we could get a movie that probably did both for us. And I think that would be tons of fun. And thank you, St. Uther, for the Bosk reference, because I totally forgot his name. So I appreciate that. But yes, it would be something where it would be great to kind of do to explore some of the themes in the movie, history of the Force, things like that aren't midichlorians and crap, but do it with some of those other characters that aren't your main ones, right? So you can do both. And I think that would be pretty compelling and a lot of fun. So who knows? We'll see where Disney goes forward with this, and we'll see what kind of things they bring in as we go into the new park and stuff like that. And so, I'm still excited for it, but I enjoyed Solo. I think it was better than some of the others I've seen and stuff like that. And so it's not on the bottom of my list by any means. I thought it was a solid, fun Star Wars movie that didn't like break any bounds. Again, it didn't do anything that I was like, holy crud, I can't believe they did this. It was more just like, nice, okay, yeah, I'm good with that. So that was one.
That's kind of the bare minimum, though, right? But when it's a series as good as this, you expect it to be good. It's like the Avengers. I mean, any film related to that, you expect it to be good. That's not up for grabs. That's a requirement. But you hope you would rate it on a. It's like I've always said previously with Avenger films in terms of the rating scale. Normal films are rated from 0 to 10 or 1 to 10, but Avengers films have their own scale where they're expected to be 9s or 10s, right? Not normal films. But you need to have their own Avengers scale. So on an Avengers scale, you know, Captain America is like a 3, but Iron Man trilogy is probably like between 7 and 9, right? That's how you, and the actual Avengers films themselves are probably between 9 and 10. They're the best of the series, I would argue. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think it's the same with Star Wars. If you compared these new Star Wars films to any other film that's out this year, I mean, yeah, it's still going to be better than all of them, apart from the Avengers, right? It's going to be stupidly good. If you have that much budget behind you, it's difficult to not be good. But we need to compare it to the other Star Wars films and say, is it up to scratch? And I think the first one was, But from the sounds of the Solo film, I am not so sure how that one will stand out. But again, I've not seen it, so I can't.
Yeah, well, and like I said, it is lesser than some. It is not Rogue One by any means, but I think it was a solid, good movie. So yeah, and we'll see. I'll have to think about the list overall of like what the scale is, top to bottom, because I do not know. And let's see, what other thing did I watch? I've been watching a bunch of series kind of in the background, like I said, as I've gotten back on TV and stuff, and thank you, Netflix, for providing me with so many fun things to watch. I did just watch a Netflix brought over movie that was an anime, and I'm trying to remember what it was called. Well, not an anime, sorry. It's a digital animated movie, and I want to say it was called Next Gen, I believe it was called. It's one of the ones that's fairly recent. And I've actually quite enjoyed it. It was a different take on kind of these animated movies. So it's not a DreamWorks studio. It's not a Pixar studio movie. It was from some company I did not recognize. And I thought they did a really good job with it and kind of a fun storyline as a whole. And just, it was entertaining. And so it was neat. I'm very supportive of some of these studios that aren't the top ones, because it's nice to see animation kind of carried out in a slightly different way, because it's really easy to catch things that are Pixar and be like, yep, this is a Pixar movie. Not that that's bad in any way. I want to say it's called Next Gen.
Okay.
And let me...
have you seen Caputo and the Two Strings, or whatever it's called?
Yes, that is a beautiful movie. I love Caputo and the Strings. Yes, that one is so good.
Yeah, that was awesome. I think it's on Netflix now as well.
Yes, it is.
Kubo and the Two Strings.
Kubo. Yeah, that one is amazing.
That's well worth seeing.
Yeah, but no, this one is called Next Gen, and... doesn't have more details on the page itself. I'd probably have to look elsewhere to see who was it that actually made this series, or made this one. But I liked it a lot. I thought their animation was phenomenal. And so that one was a really good one to see recently. Beyond that, that's pretty much what I've been watching. I think that's about it. I caught up on Voltron. I've enjoyed everything I've seen in that. I know there was some discussion that some people were not fans of how Season 7 turned out. And a lot of that had to deal with... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, have you started watching Maniac yet?
I have not, and I'm trying to remember. I know you... Did you mention it to me before? Because this is the second time I'm hearing.
No, this is something I started watching probably just before last Sunday, but we're still watching Maniac, so it's worth mentioning. It's a Netflix original series that is... It's about mentally deficient, I will say, main character.
Okay.
Who is very interesting. He's played. Let me find out what the cast, because I'm so bad with. I'm absolutely terrible with actors. So it's Emma Stone and Jonah Hill.
Okay, so that's what I thought, because I like Emma Stone. One of my challenges with it is I hate Jonah Hill. At least anything.
Yeah, dude, seriously, Jonah Hill is. This is where he becomes an actor.
I was gonna say, because all the roles he's done previous, I'm just like, he's just this annoying dude that plays the fat role. And
no, he has lost so much weight for this. He looks unhealthy. He's like playing that role of the mentally deficient main character who looks like he's just had a lifetime of psychological torment. It's really, really interesting. And I'm not too sure where it's going. I'm not even sure if I entirely like it, but it's certainly unique. Well worth giving a shot, because it's something different. You know, and for that reason, I'm giving it a shot.
Oh, no, I like that.
You at least watch the first episode.
I will have to check it out. It's been mentioned to me a few times now, and kind of on the side note. The nice thing is, because I am watching things on the side again, I've been chugging through them. I'm up to like season 12 or 13 on Supernatural now, finally. Catching up with that and a few others. So, yeah, I'm getting further along. I'm in season 12, like episode 7 or something of Supernatural. I started watching... Was it B, The Beginning, which is kind of this crazy anime about serial killers that I've enjoyed. A few other ones are out there, so it's been nice to be able to catch up. And like on an odd note, I started watching a car show. It was a whole one season that they have on Netflix called Car Masters Rust to Riches that I really liked. And it's all about a car shop that is building cars, but their business model is they get a junkyard car, basically, or as cheap or free as they can from something. They put a week's worth of effort into it with some experts in the shop, building it up to something that people would really like, and usually bringing the value up to somewhere around $10,000 to $15,000 range, and then they try to trade it up for another project car. So they give this nice, clean $10,000 to $15,000 car for a car that may be only worth $10,000 or $15,000, but it has the potential to be worth like $50,000 or $60,000 if it's really well made.
Cool.
And then they do that whole process until they can try to trade up to basically a six-figure car, something they can get as cheap as they can, but that when they finish building it, they can sell for more than $100,000. And they go through the effort, and they show a few examples of them kind of going through the process. And I really like it because it's one of those ones where the people in the shop aren't all fighting with each other; they actually get along. And so it's not that it's drama or such, it's more just seeing the quality of what they're doing. And the drama comes a little bit through the wheeling and dealing of trying to trade up, sell, or meet these kind of requirements for the cars. I just killed the whole first season of that in like 2 or 3 days. Really enjoyed it. Anyhow, that's what I've been watching. That's what I've been doing. That's what I've been basically geek. Unfortunately, this week we really didn't have any news come up. I don't know if there's anything at the end of the show here that we wanted to bring up that was of note, because I didn't email us in anything.
I don't really have time. There is one thing I want to say in the IRC, referring back to Maniac. Roxy said, Maniac is awesome. I'm super obsessed. So I am the only one.
Again, I keep hearing good things about it, so I may have to check that one out. But as we get ready to close out the show today, since again we don't have any solid news, we will be doing Brewfest questing today for the VTW Gaming Night. I will give it a few minutes after we get done with the show, and then I will broadcast again from us in game, and it will be what we experience there. So get ready for that nonsense. So join us on Moonguard US. We are on the Alliance side, and we are hanging out outside at the Brewfest at Ironforge, out in the snowy plain there. So check us out there. I am Midna Twilly, and there are others in the group running around at their characters, Darkclaw, Copy, and few others. So be ready to jump in and play with us after the show. All right, with that, Ken, would you like to read us out for the week?
Of course, you'll be listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com. Thank you very much for listening today. We do appreciate your support. Speaking of support, you can support us in so many different ways. You can help us out on social media by going to Facebook.com, search for ShowX, and give us a like. Also, Versus the World Gaming on Facebook. We're there as well. Give us a like there too. You can check us out on Twitter.com/VTWShowX, Twitter.com/DocDead, and Twitter.com/GoHex for the show, for Mr. Wayne and for myself. Check us out on Reddit.com/r/ShowX. We tried to post more there. We've now got automated so that it now auto updates with our most recent YouTube posts. So you can find out about if you use Reddit and you don't use Twitter or something, for example, you can subscribe to us there and learn about the latest and most recent shows. Also, feel free to talk on those threads where the YouTube video is posted, because that way we can have discussions about the show in post. If you can't make the chat, for example, you can talk about it there. And you can also support us on patreon.com/showx. That's always appreciated. All money goes towards, stuff relating to the show, so that's good. Fixing our hardware, fixing our software, upgrading and such, and replacing broken stuff, that too. So all that, we really appreciate all your support across everything. If you can't support us financially, please do support us socially. Tell your friends or like us on these various different places around the interwebs and follow us and such. Finally, you can email us showx@VTWProductions.com. Thank you very much for having me on the show, sir. And thank you all for listening today.
Yes, good to have you on, Ken. Thank you very much for everyone listening today. Like I said, we will check you out on this, and hopefully next week I think we're at full strength, and then the weekend after that is where I might be running around again, but we will keep you up to date. So with that, come see us in the Discord after the show, and we will get our game on. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful week, and we will catch you next time. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. See you next zombie. Good night. I forgot.